Okay.
Um, Now we're recording. Welcome to this Writing Wednesday workshop. It's great to have everyone here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if I can. Um, this is a workshop that is meant for anyone who's working on citations. See if we can share that now.
Good
Uh,
for sharing.
okay, perfect. Sorry for the delay. So my name is Erin Durham Wright, and I work at the library. I'm a reference and instruction librarian. Um, and this is part of a series with the library and the Writing Center. So I want to turn it over to Khadijah. Maybe you can just introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Khadijah. I'm a junior poli-sci and bio double major, and I'm a writing center tutor at the Academic Success Center.
Awesome. And we may have Ayla. Ayla has helped with some of our slides in Chicago, so that's been helpful. And Ayla also works as a tutor as well. So we are going to focus on several different citation styles today, and we want your questions to be answered. We want to give an overview, talk a little bit about kind of the reasoning behind citations, but then really focus on the how-to. We want to focus on how to create a citation. We'll talk a little bit about synthesizing and quoting from your sources, and we will also then do a citation activity. So welcome. Awesome. Perfect. Well, it looks like Ayla has joined. Perfect. Ayla, we just mentioned you'd want to introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, hi. Sorry I'm late. Apparently, Man Under Tracks is an actual announcement that can happen on the tube. Um, I'm my name is Ayla. I am a history and English literature major and also a writing center tutor. Just gonna come
And
help.
you're studying abroad, which
Oh,
is so
yes.
exciting.
And I'm currently
Yeah.
studying abroad in London, and I was on my way home from school.
Awesome. That's so great. Yeah, we just got started, so this is perfect. Um, it looks like some folks on the workshop they've put some things in the chat. Someone's working on APA style, someone's working on MLA. There may be a few others as well. But there will also be people watching the recording, so we will cover kind of those three citation styles today. If there's any questions at any point, feel free to put them in the chat, and I should have my chat open. Let me check that just to make sure I can answer any questions. Okay. So, yeah, go ahead. Anyone? All right. So thinking about citations and why we use them, your professors have probably talked about this in class. Maybe this is something you've discussed. If your microphone is on, maybe try muting yourself. Just seeing, I think, some surface noise. So I like to think about the reasoning behind citations as a conversation and the fact that you're able to explain how you've done your research, you're able to provide credible sources from other scholars and researchers and experts, and you're able to share that in your paper. It's also a way that you're then able to present what you're saying within the broader context of what's already been said and shared. It gives you credibility. It also gives recognition to the other scholars that have shared. Anything else, Ayla or Khadijah? Khadijah?
Yeah, when it comes to bringing in citations or sources, it always helps to have a scholar's point of view in terms of what you're going to be citing and what your ideas are on based off of what the source is. So when you mention the source, it adds, like as Aaron said, credibility towards what your idea is, and if you're copying or basing your concept off of a source, then it does add more recognition in terms of the quality of the concept.
Yeah, I love it. So it's a win-win all around. You're able to show your authority and highlight the authority of experts. As we jump in further, we're going to talk now a little more practically. MLA style to start. We'll do each of the styles briefly. This is the Modern Language Association. So as you can imagine, a lot of humanities and language focused, literary focused disciplines, English studies, language studies. And let me actually just pull in an example here. This is from, um, it's an online writing lab, and it's really helpful. It gives an MLA formatting. This is the 9th edition, the latest edition. So you can actually click through and see slides for that, or we can do a handy little PDF here. Is that showing on the screen? The
Yeah.
Okay, great. So it does give you a checklist. It explains the margin should be 1 inch around. It gives you kind of the type, the font, the line spacing, um, and it does explain the header. It's important for the MLA style. You're going to have it against the left top margin. So just be aware of some of those formatting, and I can show an example as well. I love that checklist because it just kind of talks you through everything there. So this is an example. You can see the header is the top left of the page, and you're able then to just start with your title and the body of your text right away. There's no cover sheet. That really is how MLA is formatted. And I'm going to just click into one more link. So this is the top page. This is a sample paper. Just one thing to note, so there's some notes in here. At the very end of your paper, you'll have what's called the works cited. That's what it's called in MLA style. And that is where you have the full, trying to zoom in just a bit. Let's see if we can, oop, okay, maybe not. That is where you're going to put all your sources in alphabetical order, double spaced, with the indent. And it's called works cited. You put the works cited at the very top, centered on the page. That is kind of MLA formatting in a nutshell. And we'll send the slides out so you have the links to that. So turning our attention now to APA.
Okay, so in terms of APA, you would usually use it mainly for social work type of papers or psychology kind of papers or even political science papers. It really deals with it deals with a different concept based off of MLA. So when you move on to an example, move on to the next slide for me really quickly. Yes, there is a cover page in this format. And of course, there are different editions, but it's usually recommended to use the most recent edition. So this is the 7th edition of APA. And as you can see, like the left page is the cover page, and that usually carries the department, the class, your name, the university name, and then the research question or what the paper is going to be on. And then the next page is going to be the intro and where you're going to be starting off your actual like writing. So the 7th edition is going to be a little bit more different than the other editions because they do add and take into considerations any new changes they would like to make in terms of the styling. But as in terms of the references, if I move on to the next slide. Okay. Oh, no, okay. In terms of the references, it's going to be like the works cited page, and we'll talk more about that later in the presentation. But yeah, this is the difference between MLA and APA. There's going to be a cover page. There's going to be an indent in terms of the paragraphs, as you can see. And once you see the slides for yourself, there's going to be a little bit of a difference in terms of formation of where everything is going to go in terms of the headers and the subheaders as well. And I'll bring it back to Ayla.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so Chicago. I love Chicago. It is the Chicago Manual of Style, and it's for various like arts and humanities disciplines, primarily history. Like this is like the like ultimate truth to historians. And something very different in this compared to other citation styles are the way that we put footnotes or endnotes in our work. We're going to go into that a little bit more later. And we also have two different varieties. We have the notes and bibliography and the author date uh, style of formatting. And your professor will always specify which one they want. And if they don't, then you should probably ask them. But sometimes, like, you could just go author date. That's what I do. But generally, your professor will specify which one it is. So we have a little more specifics on the next. Oh yeah, here's two sample papers, which I also put my own examples. So I noticed the sample papers are there are a few things that are slightly outdated, but generally it was like the exact same. Recently, there was like a few changes, and I'll discuss them in a little bit. But here's a really good, um, like, it was on Purdue Owl, I think, just looking at the way. Okay, so there's two things we can do here. We have a cover page, but then there's also a not cover page version. So first we're going to go over the cover page. So basically what you do, like unless your professor specifies they want something specific, this is generally what it looks like. In the top, I just grabbed a random paper I've written. So in the top corner, you're going to have your last name and the page number. And then like 3/4 of the way down, you'll have your title. Here, my title like included a citation, which it might not, but you would have like your title. If you have a subtitle, you might stick that on the next line. And then at the bottom, centered, you'll have your name, your professor, your class, and then the thing that I noticed that was outdated, that was changed, is the way that it goes, not like day, like month, day, comma, year, but we do day, month, year, so that we just get to have no commas in there, so it looks very nice and clean. And then it's very similar when you're doing it not as a cover page, which is the more general way you'll probably be submitting papers. Usually it'll look like this. It'll be the same, your last name with the page number in the top right corner. And then instead of centered on the other side on the left corner, in part of the double space, so it's always kind of fun to like double space it and be like, oh, yes, that took up a little bit of the page. You have name, professor, class, day, month, year, and then your title, which is not bolded, unlike some other formats do, so that gets confusing sometimes, but it's just totally the same size and the same font. The only thing you would bold if you happen to be doing this for your paper would be the headers of your sections, which would be on the right side. Left side, sorry. Yeah,
That's
so here's
great.
just a random example.
So we've done a little bit of MLA, APA, and Chicago, and I notice in the chat, looks like there's a question, maybe Khadijah. So question is, does APA style require table of contents or abstract page, or is it a personal preference?
I'd say personally, it depends on what the professor is asking for and what they're looking for, because not every APA style paper is going to have a table of content. I do notice there are a lot of abstracts in terms of the APA paper, but again, it really depends on what kind of paper you're going to be writing. In terms of if it's research, there's definitely going to be an abstract page. If it is not research and it really is just like basing off a generalization of literature, like a literature review, there's more likely not going to be an abstract page. So it really depends on what assignment it's going to be for. So if it's going to be pertaining to research that you're going to be doing, it's definitely going to be an abstract page. And then a table of content as well is going to be preferred if it's going to be your own research. Does that answer the question? Okay, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, keep the questions coming. That's helpful.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So, kind of in sum, a couple resources, and we'll send the slide out. There is a library citing page, and then also what we've been using somewhat from is the Excelsior University online writing lab. And so there's pages for each of those. You can kind of see what that looks like. And there's always examples on the side. You can look at in-text citations or the formatting guide or the references. So for each of the styles. So I won't click through everything, but whatever style you're using, there's a link there. And then over here on the library page, this is kind of the main page. You can see we focus on the 3 different styles and a couple other styles over here. And when you click into any of those, for example, MLA, you're going to get some links of resources. Always the top link, though, is going to give you a 2-page document that gives a template for how to cite some very common types of sources. The first page is all print, so if you use like a physical book, you can print that, you can cite that. But otherwise, most of what we use often for papers is, well, not always, but if you use like ebooks or electronic sources, or if you find an article from a database online, or if you're using a web page or a YouTube video, these are all electronic digital resources and how to cite them. Mostly the same. The main difference might be like, do you include a link or how do you include the link? So yeah. Okay, let's see. We're going to move into creating citations. This is going to be like the works cited, the reference page, or the bibliography for each respective style. And it's always good to start maybe with a tool, and then you can work from that. Anytime you're on the library page, you can use the toolbar that provides a citation. It's usually about 90% accurate. It's as good as the information that went into it. Sometimes I found if I'm citing a newspaper from the library, the headline will be bolded or it will be all caps, which is incorrect for all styles, Chicago, APA, and MLA. So you'll want to just fix that. But it does give you a head start. It pulls most of the information from it. Other people like web tools, but again, whatever tool you're using, library tool, web tool, you will want to check over the citation. And so that is why those resources here can be useful to you. And of course, bolded, it's important to check over the citations at any point. That is the most important thing. So this is an example. Let's actually pull up an article. This is an article about zombies. And I'll just show you the toolbar from the library. So if we go in here, oh dear, computer should be fine. It doesn't like that link. I know it's fine. Here we go. So this is our zombie article. And then over here on the right-hand side, you can see the toolbar. You're able to print the article, email it to yourself. That's the citation, and you can request the PDF. It would get sent there as well. And the citation here is what I was referring to. So you'll click Cite, and you can see there is a whole list of different citation styles, like 10 different kinds. Who knew there were like that many? There's even more than that. But you have all the main ones. So if you're doing APA style, you can copy and paste. Same thing with the Chicago. There's 2 different styles, as Ayla mentioned. So you can check with your professor as to what style you're using, Chicago. And MLA, pretty straightforward. You can copy and paste that into your document and use it as a citation. Just by glancing at this, it looks pretty good. The author name, last name, first name. We have the title. We have the italics, volume number. That is a good citation. You can actually just use that. So you do always want to check it, but that's good to go this time. Yeah, so remember, wherever you're searching, it's going to be the toolbar on the right-hand side for the library page. Yeah, anything to add, Khadijah?
Yeah, I just have one thing to add. When you are doing Chicago style and you use the Cite tool, it'll always put like the DOI or the link inside of your source. But if your source is something that can technically be found in print, like somewhere in the world, then you want to make sure you take that out because most of the things you'd probably be citing are like scholarly articles or like books. And even if it's an ebook, like because you can technically like find that printed out, you don't put the link in it. If anything, like the other person can just like take the title, go stick that in their library, and also find the ebook. But professors get like so picky about that. So just one thing to keep in mind.
That's a great point. And it's interesting how the different styles and even just professors' preferences, it's good to find out what those are. So that was perfect. All right. So we are headed now, let's see, to talk about citing and giving examples. This is what Khadijah was talking about the example time.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, when it comes to like referencing like or like really adding in the citation into your paper or into like the reference list, I really strongly recommend going through like the Purdue OWL like format of doing it because it makes it really simplified and it also adds like the structure that you need to have for the citation. So it goes the last name and then comma, the first initial of the first name of the author, then the middle initial, like the first letter of the middle initial of like the author if they have one. Some authors don't have a middle name, so no worries. You can always just take it out. And then if there is two of the authors in the paper or in the article or in any like source, you can definitely add them. If it's like five, if it's 20, then you're gonna do et al because you can't do 20 authors in one reference. It's gonna be very long. So I would just do et.al, so et al. And then the year also has to be in parentheses. So sometimes the site for the library, yeah, just like that. So sometimes the site for the library will like remove the parentheses, but they actually need to be there. So if you ever just see that, just like add them back in there. And then the difference between the article and the title of the periodical, I like to think of it like think of the Times Magazine. The Times Magazine is going to be the periodical, and then any report or any article you're pulling from there is going to be the article. So the article is not going to be italicized. It's going to be regular text, the Times New Roman or Arial, like whichever one it is, just like leave it as such. The periodical, let's say Times Magazine, would be italicized. That's really the main difference between the two. So there's also the volume and the issue that really comes with like the books or the magazines that are like physically there. So the volume is going to be what periodical is it, and then what edition is it? Is it the newest edition? Is it the first, the second, the third, so on and so forth? Page numbers, if you do have page numbers like included, sometimes there would be a case where there are no page numbers included because it could be a long document that doesn't include pages. I've seen that you can go through paragraphs and do paragraph numbers, but usually they usually are page numbers. And then you add the link to where you got the article from or the periodical from. That makes sense. So all of that is going to be in the reference. Like it's going to be structured just like it is in the slide. And if there's like any like small mechanical like mistakes or like edits that need to be made, no worries. Like you can always just remove or like add or change anything. Just make sure it follows this format. So there's going to be a small hanging indent of 0.5 after the first line too for each one. So it'd be this and then move on to your next one. There's going to be a small, like the line, the small hanging indent, the rest of them. And they always have to be in alphabetical order. So you really just need to stick to the alphabetical order and then just stick to the format and then you're good. The examples and links to do so are in Purdue OWL and they are in the slides. So in case you ever need any help and it feels like you're a little stuck, like, is this supposed to be backwards? Is it supposed to be the indent first and then everything else later? You just go through the slides and then you can just go and see that the rest of it, the first line is gonna be like the same, and then the rest of the lines are gonna have like that 0.5 hanging indent. Yeah, that's APA referencing.
Awesome. Let's
And
see. If there's any questions, feel free to put them in the chat.
yeah. So this is what it looks like. So the references, this one and the first one, I'm pretty sure it's a book. And then moving on, it's going to be a website. Then moving on from there, again, a book. And then again, a website. So like you see how like there's like a little space after the first line. That's gonna be your 0.5 indent. And again, like the title of the article is not italicized, but then the periodical is italicized. And then this is the volume, that's the edition in parentheses, and then the pages you're pulling from at the bottom, at the end of it. Yeah, this is what the references should look like. Yeah.
Cool. That's great. Um, I'll take Emily today. For Emily style, there are some similarities. You are going to create a page with all your citations at the end. This time it will be called Works Cited. So it's a works cited page rather than a reference page. So that will be at the very top, Works Cited. And then you're going to alphabetize your entries. They will be double spaced, and also it will have the 0.5 hanging indent just like the other style we saw. So those things, that indent is the same. You're going to alphabetize them as well. And then you can see kind of this example over here. You're going to have your author. I guess we should have done last name, first name. You have your title. And then you are going to provide all the other information that follows. It can be a lot depending on what you have. So again, use the resources of Purdue OWL or use the Excelsior OWL links or that library page. So I'm actually going to pull that up. Oops, not this one. I'm going to pull up this one. So this is in the slide. You'll have access to this, but you can see how it gives you detailed examples of everything. You do want to have, let's just take a look about a article in a scholarly journal here. Yeah, thanks so much, Meredith. If I zoom in just a bit, you'll have your author last name, first name. You're going to have your title in quotes. It will be first letter capitals, so that's different than APA. You're going to have your journal in italics and the volume, year, pages, and link. Check with the professor. Some professors have preferences about the links, but that's generally how you're going to do your citation in MLA style. Let's see, I think, and this is an example. You can see it looks very similar to the APA, but it's called works cited at the top. And then in the individual citations, there are differences. You're going to have the last name, first name, you're going to have quotes, and then you're also going to have the name of the journal in italics. And it is sentence capitalization, your title capitalizations. You're going to have the first letter in your article title capitalized. That is different from APA. So again, you can use these as references. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat and we'll go on to Chicago. Oops, I think I skipped a slide. Let's see. Wish I could go back a little easier. Maybe not, actually. Okay, here we are. Ayla.
Hey, so here we go with Chicago footnotes. They're a little bit silly, but they become very fun, I think. So the first thing is generally like the place you're going to stick a citation in is like a quote, well, obviously anywhere you get information that's not your own. But the thing that I find that trips people up is sticking it after a quote. You don't put it after the quotation mark, but you stick it at the end of the sentence. So here we just have a random snippet where it's at the end of the sentence, not the end of the quote, that you put that footnote. And the way you do it is you go like insert in your little Google Docs thing and then footnote, and it'll put a little superscript down there. And so there's a few different footnote formats. The first time you mention a source, you do the full footnote. So here we have first name. Oh wait, I think I forgot to animate the slide. I was gonna make the like way you do it up here. But anyway, okay, so you do first name, last name, and then the title, and then in parentheses, the publishing place of publication. Sometimes it'll be like a state, sometimes it'll be like a city. It's usually what they have in the book. My favorite's when it's New York, New York, so it's just New York. And then the publisher and then comma, the year, comma, and the pages you got it from. So in the bibliography, you're gonna have like you won't have the pages for the book, but it'll be a little bit different formatted, but you'll have the pages of the specific information that you're quoting or paraphrasing or something in the footnote. And then after that, you do the shortened version of the citation. So here we have just the last name, just the title, and just the page number. And some teachers also don't mind if after you do this shortened one, you could do an even shorter one where you literally just do last name, page number. But generally, if you want to like know, like they really can't take off points or anything, you just always do that that one of like last name, title, page number, even if it sometimes begins to look a little crazy because it's like takes up this much room for like this tiny of like words on your page. If you don't mind going to the next, please.
Could go in the same one, but they don't.
Oh, wait, go back. Yeah, so here's another example from a paper. Like it looks a little wacky because it's literally just the same thing over and over again, but it's the way that we do it in Chicago. And it's fun because it takes up page space. So when your teacher says write 6 pages, your footnotes are literally like half of that. Okay, so now I have another slide. So now we have the Chicago bibliography. Here, I took this from Purdue Owl. It has some fun tips on the side, and also just looking on the Purdue Owl like website, which I think was attached to those sample papers, you can find like much more specifics. So here, unlike the other two, I've noticed something I noticed I didn't realize before was that they're each titled with something else different. Got the works cited, got the references, now we have the bibliography. So you're going to call your work a bibliography, and it's single spaced. So I know you write your essay in double spaced, but your bibliography is not double spaced. And then you also alphabetize it by last name, and you do a hanging indent. So when you go to like the indentation options, there'll be a spot that says like special indent, and then you click on that, and it'll give you like two options, and you'll press the one that says hanging, and it'll automatically sort that for you. Here, I just wrote out a little thing you can copy and paste of what the citation is supposed to look like for a book and an article, because I find those are the most commonly used ones. So we just kind of talked about it, like last name. Well, we talked about the footnote format. Here's the uh, bibliography format. So before it was first name, last name. Now it's last name, first name, title, not in quotation marks, place of publication, and year of publication. And you could also look in the bibliography and as an example. Sometimes when I'm really unsure what to do, I just copy and paste another like bibliography thing that I know is correct, and I just replace it with my own information. Because now I'm looking at my book one, and I feel like I might have messed something up, but that's okay. The article one, last name, first name, title of article, subtitle, and then parentheses, not parentheses, italics, title of journal, volume is not all italicized. It's just trips me up sometimes because it's not, you don't do comma, then the volume, you do just the volume number, then the issue, date of publication, and your page range. And I might have had a third bibliography slide, but I'm not 100% sure. No, I didn't. Cool.
So that was our example of how to do the citation itself. We're going to kind of move on to when you're incorporating sources in your papers. So if you're quoting, giving a direct quote, or if you're paraphrasing and synthesizing. Either way, you need to cite. So let's just take a look here. Many different reasons. So this is when you're writing in your own words. It's a way that you're able to show that you've understood what's being shared, and it's a way to also condense and summarize and be concise. So it's a way to also show that you know what the scholars are saying about your topic. You're able then to pull out points of agreement or disagreement, look for new insights. You're able to share major findings and conclusions. And ultimately, it's going to give you credibility because you're able to draw on that information. And then as you share your own take on it. So that's really important. Let's take a look here. This is just an example of synthesizing. Ayla, if you want to maybe just share a few things
Yeah.
about.
Sorry, I like started talking without realizing that I was on mute. Um, so here's an example of like synthesizing a source. Basically, I'm sorry, my brain just left me. So, the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna introduce your quote. You're not gonna like just stick it in there. You gotta tell us a little bit about it first. And then you're gonna actually put the quote, or if you're just gonna summarize maybe what the author has to say without actually using the exact words, or you're just gonna like give the general idea. So there's like paraphrasing, but then there's also like a summary. So one's like very close to the author's words, and one's like a general summary. And then you're gonna explain like after that, like why is this important? And those like three components together kind of like synthesize your source. It's right there. So we have the introduce, quote, and cite, and then explain. And so this is basically just the thing you always want to do, unless like once in a while maybe you have like you're starting your essay with a quote as like a slam line or something and you break away from that like introduce point. But generally you always want to make sure that your quotes are introduced, like who is the author of it. Sometimes it's like, oh, this website says, but usually a person actually wrote that article. So get that author's last name, maybe find out a little about them. Maybe you could be like Dr. blah blah blah, who's a professor at blah 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 and studies this XYZ, has this to say about the topic. And so your reader gets a little bit of an idea when you go into that actual quote and then the subsequent citation. And then after that, you got to just tell us, like, why did you use that quote? Like, okay, we have the quote, but why is that important to what you're arguing? And all that together makes the quote sandwich.
It's perfect. And I should probably update the slide because it's true for paraphrasing as well. Even if you're just putting what the author says in your own words and giving a paraphrase or a summary, you still want to introduce and say who the author was originally, provide the summary or the quote, and then explain. So either way, it works well. That's perfect. So if we look at some in-text citations, this has both APA and MLA on this slide, but there's an APA example. So Khadijah.
Yeah. So when it comes to like the APA, MLA, like in-text citations, they are gonna look really similar. Like I promise you, like the last name, the year, and then the page is really what you want to keep in mind. So like Boyd from da da da, like from this year, from whatever edition it is. Boyd, the same, this one, 2016 describes da 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 da. And then like what page did you pull it from? Like what page did the idea come from? Where did the concept come from? So then it just like mentions really the edition or like the year the quote, like the year the work was published, just so that we can be clear on which one we're published, like which one we're talking about. It could be like Boy 2017 or Boy 2020, but like no, it's Boy 2016 from like this edition. Talked about this concept, da 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 da, and then the page number is like right at the end. So again, like just like Ayla said, you just really shouldn't just stick it in there. Kind of just like introduce it and then talk about it or paraphrase or cite it, and this is how you're supposed to cite it for at least APA. For MLA, it's going to be a little bit different, and I'll let Erin talk about that.
Yeah, that was great. So let me show you, let's see, my slides are, here we are. This is a slide you can reference. There's a lot of text here, but they give examples. So I'll just leave that here on the slide deck. Let's look at MLA. I guess the difference is very similar. APA and MLA both use in-text citations with the parentheses. They both have the author's last name. In MLA, though, the page number really is the focus. So you have the last name and then the page number. So there's an example here on that second example. You have the author name and then right after you have the page number. There's no comma, which is different from APA. MLA just has the last name and the page number. So there are lots of examples here and varieties of that. But I'll leave that on the slide. On to Ayla.
Okay, so here, I feel like I've already talked about this, but
We don't have to cover if you feel okay.
yeah, let me see if there's anything else that's really important. Um, yeah, it's kind of everything we've already gone over, just a good little reminder, another slide to refer back to on the way Chicago footnotes work because they're tricky. And I will like submit an essay thinking I have perfect citations, and then I'll go back and open it another time and I'll be like, wow, all my footnotes are wrong. So it's always good to double check yourself.
Perfect. So you can reference the slide as well. And so we do want to just have a practice, like an open practice session, what it is to like actively create a citation. I'm going to drop this link in the chat if I can. Let's see if I can copy paste. Nope, I can't. So let me type it in the chat. Feel free to join that Google Doc. There are examples from all the different citation styles. If you join that Google Doc. So I'm going to go ahead and just explain the activity really quick. If you open up the document, you will see, we actually have the slides from the workshop, and then you can see the MLA activity here. there are links to those references and helps. And then there's an incorrect style. So your goal is to copy and paste that incorrect version and then make adjustments to correct it. So I will share that example. Let me just see if there's any slides that give some information. Yeah, so join the Google Doc. You don't have to do all three. You can just do the one you're working on. So if you're APA style, use the APA, MLA, etc. And you just want to copy and paste the style into the table and then work on correcting it. And we can actively show that as we go through. Oh yeah. We'll also try the in-text citations. That's the column on the right. So we're just going to start first of all with the citation itself. So I know, yeah, let's see, Sharmila, if you have, I'm trying to think back to what you're, I think you might be APA style, is that right? Well, for the recording, let me just show. Okay, so we can actively do this. I'm going to just quickly show the MLA style for anyone watching the recording. And then we'll do the APA for sure in Chicago. So the first thing is that we want to get that hanging indent. So for here, oops, let's go. We can go to the very top. I can take this whole citation style. So this is actually what was mentioned earlier. You can click on format and you can do, let me see, align and indent. You can do indentation options and you can do special indent and go to hanging. So we can apply. I think it's actually, oh, sorry. I think it's upset because it's a table. Let's see if it will work. Yeah, it's, sorry about that. It is a little upset today because it's on a table. So, we're just going to focus just for this. I'm going to put it underneath just to see it. Sorry about that. I should have thought through that. Okay, so now we have the hanging indent. And one thing that's wrong right here are to see how it's capitals. We want to bring those back to a lowercase for MLA style. It looks like I'm missing the first names of the authors as well. So I'm going to just open this up, pull in the authors' names. It looks like Anna Katrin and Adrian Parker. So I'm going to go ahead and type in their first names in the doc. Anna Katrin and then Adrian. So one thing about MLA that's kind of funny is if you have two authors, you're going to have the last name, first name, and then for the second author, you're going to have the first name, last name. So again, these guides will help you through that. Second thing, my title. Let's just take a look at an example. So for a scholarly journal here, my title should be in quotes and it should have that first letter should be capitals. So I'm going to make sure all of the main nouns are in all caps and quotes. Oh, sorry, I'm doing the wrong one. Here we go, quotes around the title. So I'm just making it normal title capitalization. That's what MLA uses. And I just need a quote around the title. MLA, you should use italics for the name of the journal. So I'm going to add italics there. I think otherwise we have the volume, the number, the year, and the pages, and that looks good. Yeah. Looks like there's a question here. Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, do you want to actually just take that right now and then we'll go into the APA style?
Yeah, okay, let me read it. This might be off topic from citation, but I know we have Writing Center involved on this call as well. I haven't done a paper in a while since I've been at school for a few years now. What kind of support does Writing Center provide? Okay, okay. So when it comes to the Writing Center, when you come in, you don't technically have to be there physically in person. Like I know there are like certain situations where we have to meet up online, but it'd be preferred to meet in person so that we can talk and discuss what your ideas are or how your feelings are on your paper. And then if you'd like to brainstorm, if you'd like to see if it makes sense, if we can like read it together and see if it's clear, if your ideas are being conveyed in your paper. So we can always provide help in terms of feedback on if it makes sense, on if it like if your ideas are being conveyed, or is there like some way it's not being very clear, or like if there's structure issues that you feel like you're concerned about, we can always go through that. But we don't really check for grammar. We really recommend you do Grammarly or like any other tool that can utilize online for that, because as writing center tutors, we are not really editors. We're more so here to assist you in any concerns you have on the topic of your choice. So whether that's structuring, whether that's clarity, whether that's brainstorming, whether that's like final drafting and you see like, okay, like I want another pair of eyes on it, then we're here to help. Ayla, do you have any other
Yeah,
mentions you want?
the only thing I'd add is I have two book recommendations if anyone would like one, a book about like grammar specific stuff. Because us editing your paper, like you're not going to walk out there a stronger writer because you're not going to know why we made the edits we made. But if you want to go and like read about the way you use commas and even in different citation styles, like specific things tailored to that, I can maybe drop in the chat two books that I like.
That's great. Excellent. There are also a couple slides with links to the Writing Center at the end, so we'll share the slides out as well. See, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Let's see.
Okay,
Is that
I'm
okay,
going to,
Khadijah? We can try.
yep, I'm gonna try and start sharing. Give me 2 seconds, let me see. Okay, share. Okay, can you guys see what I'm like, what I have here?
Yeah, I do see it. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so with this one in particular, there are a couple things wrong. So number one, obviously the little, you just need to have this here, like your parentheses, obviously. I know this thing is gonna be bugging, because I know it's gonna do something weird, but let's see, if I go to format, and then if I go to my indent, and then indent options, let's see, will it do my hanging indent? Will it? Yes, it will. Okay. So there's a little hanging indent right there. And then this right here is the title. This is the title of the article. So right here, it's italicized when it's not supposed to be. And right now I'm in Arial. I never figured out how to pronounce this word properly. But anyways, it's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be like, straight. And then this one, oh, there we go. This one on the bottom right here is the periodical. This is supposed to be italicized here, from here to here. Click on Control I. And then obviously this is the volume, this is the first edition, but then we're missing page numbers with this one. This one does have page numbers. I did make sure. And this is the original page numbers from here, 82 to 108. So I'd have to have it right between the edition, the periodic edition and the link. So this is the DOI link. So I'm gonna just copy and paste this right here and then put it right here. Boop, boop, boop. Here. Okay, this is what it's supposed to look like. And then I'll go, so let's see, this had no parentheses. This was italicized when it wasn't supposed to be. This was, oh yeah, this was supposed to be italicized. It wasn't. So, and the page numbers were missing. So it's supposed to look like this. That makes sense. I'm hoping it made sense, and I'm hoping you were able to see the edits really quickly. I want to give Ayla as much time as she needs in terms of her Chicago footnotes, because I know they can get very tricky, but this is what APA is supposed to look like. Like this, like this. And it was, ooh, um, and this is what it will show up as in and if you cite it from the library, this is what it actually does look like. And I'm pretty sure it's in correct format as well, but just to make sure, in case it isn't, you can always just like make sure and see like, oh, if the parentheses are there, oh, if the page numbers are there, if they're accessible, and oh, if the if the paragraph numbers are there, if they are accessible. But I will stop sharing my screen. I'll give it to Ayla. She got this. And Yeah, I'll give you up too.
Okay, I kind of forgot the name of the second book. Like, I feel like it's like Little Blue Book or something, but I just can't remember at the moment. So I'm sorry about that. But the first one's my favorite one anyway. It's Drunk and White. Very useful. Here, I'll share my screen. Okay, so incorrect Chicago example. You have an article. So, let's do the footnote format first. I always find those just like slightly easier because if you could just go, okay, so it's first name and then last name, done, and then we'll put the title of the article, but something um, that Aaron mentioned always happens is that it'll put things in all caps, and it's like, no, don't do that. So, breath of spring, and then the rest we could just um, copy and paste that in. Something I think I found a lot of people don't actually know about is that you can copy when you paste something in, you could do paste without formatting. So like it'll match the style that you are working in and it won't do something like that, which is so annoying to go back and format. So that's always cool. And then another thing is always make sure you like tuck your grammar into your quotation marks, which you don't do in MLA and APA. So it gets very confusing. You have the comma on the outside there. Here, the comma's on the inside. And so we see it's from the Library of Congress magazine. Generally, see, most of this so far looks correct, so I'm gonna just paste the whole thing in and we'll go like, okay, wait, what's the problem though? Well, this has to be italicized. And then these have a space in between that they don't need. And then, oh my gosh, am I doing it not in the, I'm so sorry. I'm literally doing this in the bibliography format, not in the footnote format. So, wait, am I doing it right? I'm so sorry. I'm tripping myself up so poorly. Let's go back and take a look together. It's been quite a long day. It's like 9 p.m. for me now, so I'm just getting back from a day of someone being under my train tracks while I'm just trying to get home from school.
Right.
So let's go take a look at Chicago footnotes.
And this just
So,
brings up that honestly, I check mine over. Like I'm always referencing stuff. Like this is so
yeah,
common. Like
true.
this happens all the
Yes,
time. I always have to check.
yeah, it happens. So we got so close. So I see, okay, like I was getting there, but was not quite there. So, 38. So it's number two. Dun, dun. And then we'll find the date was, oh, there's not even the date in it. So let's go find out what the date was. See, is it going to make me do duo security? Hope not.
Maybe just make up a date just for the sake of
Okay,
time. Yeah.
so true. We're just pretend that it was like March 2017. And then the very last page, thing you got correct? Yeah, sure. Got the page numbers. So, okay, look at that. Got the name and the title and the information there. Let's go back, take a little look at our footnotes. Wait, done. Bibliography. Oh, I did it in the bibliography format still. Oh my gosh. Well, we're just gonna flip that and bam, there we go. Got a citation. Let's do the special little hanging indent. That done. Align and indent. Get options. Hanging. So cool that it does it for us. Now for are
Maybe just for time, because we didn't quite get to the in-text for either MLA or APA or the footnote.
Oh, I can just write it in real quick.
Just for time, yeah, if you want to just add it to the Google Doc, that's great.
Yeah, totally.
And then just for time, we can do our wrap up. But just know that recording will be sent out. The slides will also be sent out, and the slides have examples, and then the Google Doc should be finished with those examples. So I'll put in the APA in text. Khadijah can do the same. So the final thing I just want to share out the very last bit here for our wrap up. We do have lots of resources, and this was mentioned a little earlier too. If you want me to click through, I can just talk. Khadijah did a great job discussing what the tutoring can provide. This is just a follow up with the link. Anything to share here, Khadijah or Ayla?
No, as far as yeah.
May have just lost a connection. Maybe on my end, I'm not sure. But if you are on the Writing Center page, you can make an appointment. You can schedule your appointment here. It can be in person or online. It's going to have you log in. So I need to be logged into my MVC to get access. But it's a great way to schedule an appointment with one of the writing tutors.
There are different formats of how you can set up an appointment. You can always do online, or in-person asynchronous if you are absolutely like not by any means like available at all. But please do show up to the Writing Center. Even if you just want to say hi or just like brainstorm, you can always do that.
Yeah, the Writing Center is awesome. And then just briefly, the library, you can stop by the first floor desk. We have that library desk there. You can ask questions. If you're online, you can use our chat, that little chat bubble right there. It's live 10 a.m. through 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Otherwise, we'll get an email and respond the next morning. You can also book a research appointment. This would be like a full 20, 30-minute appointment with us, and we can help you find sources. We can talk about where to look. We can also talk about citations. Yeah, so feel free to reach out, set an appointment, work with us. We can help with the research aspect of your papers. And we do have the citation guide link there as well. I am also full-time. I work in the library every day, so you can definitely reach out to me with any questions as well. And just know that if you want to attend the final Writing Wednesday workshop, that will be about drafting papers, writing your final papers. That will be in December, and all are welcome to attend that. But that was thanks for being with us. It was a lot of citation information. We got to nerd out about our respective citation styles. Thank you so much for joining, and best of luck. Yeah, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
All right, thank you. Any more questions or anything you want to say to the Writing Center, please do stop by. We can always answer it, and we're always free, and there's always going to be a tutor available at any day. Yeah.